Many of you know my name is Corey Bell, and I am the owner of two businesses, Bell Benefits Group, a national insurance agency focusing on telesales, and Lead to Client CRM, which is a platform for insurance agents to really increase their productivity inside the business. But what you might not know is that my partner in both of these businesses is my beautiful wife, Julie Bell. Now, if you're a client with Lead to Client, you might have interacted with her at some point, but she has been there by my side since the beginning, and it has been wonderful. Julie and I met the last day I had on Match.com, which you may know as a dating app, and I was about to cancel and just kind of went through it one more time, and I met Julie. We hit it off right away. We actually only dated for about 3 months, and then we were married. So met her around the Thanksgiving time, and we ended up getting married in January. So it's been fast and furious, but one thing that I have really come to appreciate is having a strong partner right there beside me every step of the way. Because in the insurance industry, and in any business for that matter, there's going to be some ups, there's going to be some downs. And having somebody that you trust, somebody that's walking through life with you, to be able to talk you off any ledge, to be able to empower you or encourage you to make sure that what you're doing resonates with your audience, resonates with the people that you serve, is huge. So I couldn't ask for any stronger business partner in the world other than my wife, Julie. And hopefully at some point we'll get her on here and maybe be able to do some content where you can meet her and know to love her the same way that I do. Not the same way I do, but love her just the same. When Julie and I first met, I was actually a principal, and she was basically taking care of her mother at the time, who was very ill. We started off with very much that traditional, marriage. She was at home, I was working, just kind of came home. How was your day? Like really kind of the way you would expect it. But when I transitioned into the insurance industry, she really took a liking to becoming a business owner. At first, she started working in some car dealerships in the finance side, but she was very inquisitive and always wanted to know what was going on inside the insurance agency. So one of the things she started doing when I was a field agent was becoming an appointment setter for her. So she'd make some phone calls to leads and schedule some appointments, and was always wanting to know how to go with Mary. And I'd come home and say like, oh yeah, we did this policy and that policy, and her interest was just piqued. Since then, she's been instrumental inside of the agency, helping other agents get scheduled, get contracted, helped with commissions and accounting, all of those things. And then inside of Lead to Client CRM, she's really taken a very active role in several components of the business, supporting our clients in the back end. So she's been fantastic to have right by my side, and couldn't ask for anything better. When Julie and I first started working together in the insurance industry, it was very much just kind of learning each other's roles. And it's really no different than if you bring in any other type of business partner. You want to make sure there's clearly defined roles and who's taking care of what, so that you're not stepping on each other's toes. Now, of course, we still do that. We still step on each other's toes. If you're any type of business owner, you are going to be involved in all aspects of your business. And so for us, she's very much asking me what's going on in my side. I'm asking her what's going on in her side. But you have to have really, really strong communication. And that was something I think that we had to figure out, because you communicate differently as a business partner than you would as a spouse. And so during the day when we're in business mode, I think we've learned how to navigate and say, hey, we're talking to each other as business partners, and try and block that off. We're talking to each other as spouses. Although there is a lot of commingling there, which is a great thing, because in your business, you have your spouse with you at all times, and they're obviously the biggest supporter you're going to have in your business. If you're working with your spouse in your business, one thing you might be concerned about is what happens to the strength of our marriage if, you get into a conflict with a business partner. Does that carry over into the marriage? I've actually heard that a lot of studies have shown that the divorce rate goes down when you have a spouse as a business partner. And I can say that I think the reason that could be is that, Julie understands the stress that I have, and I understand the stress she has, because we walk through it together and we have the same stressors. And so we kind of have this common language, as opposed to me going to work as a principal, having a really crummy day, coming home, her not being able to understand what that is. And she might think, well, that's easy to fix, just do this, without understanding everything that goes along with it. Well, since we're both business partners inside of Bell Benefits and inside of Lead to Client, we know everything that goes into solving a problem. And so it's very much, instead of us, consoling each other to relieve the stress, I feel like we're always in a problem solving mode. So we're able to look at things and say, here's what we need to do, or here's the steps that we need to take to make sure that we are overcoming the obstacles, overcoming the stressors, overcoming anything that could potentially be causing us grief inside of the business. And so we are able to keep our mind on a solution focus as opposed to just having a counseling session about the stress. Now, it's also important, and one thing we do struggle with is compartmentalizing and having marriage time as well. So we will, go out to dinner and we will swear we're not going to talk about business. So usually within a minute or two, we're on the topic of business. So we do try to make a conscious effort to say, let's not talk about business here tonight, but we usually fail at it, to be quite honest. So I think that would be a challenge. And if you do have a spouse as a partner in your business, you might want to consider what kind of boundaries can you put in to make sure that you are carving out time for your marriage in addition to carving out time for the business. One of the things we recently implemented together was we want to structure our time in a way that we can support the business and support each other. And so we've actually carved out 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. every morning. Is we either go sit outside if it's nice, or we sit at the kitchen table and we just have coffee and honestly have our morning business meeting and talk about what's on our day, what's on our plate, what am I taking care of, what is she taking care of. That way we can be on the same page, and we've actually allocated that time. That's specifically what it's for. So those 2 hours every single morning, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the only day we don't do that is Sunday. All of those days, we have carved out time to make sure that we have got a pulse on the business together and we're on the same page. And it's really important we do that because we both take a share in managing our team as well. And so we want to make sure that we're speaking the same language. We understand the problems, the challenges that they're going through so that we can support them adequately. If you're going to start a business with your spouse, one thing I absolutely would recommend is that you delineate roles and that you find some way to break a stalemate. So you need to think about, what if you don't agree? Because when you're going into the business, you're probably in complete agreement. Oh, this is awesome. I love it. Yeah, it's going to be great. We're going to do this. But I promise you, probably in the very near future, if you haven't already had it, you will come to some sort of a disagreement. Well, if you're both 50-50 in the business and there's no way to break a stalemate, you have to decide, is no action taken? Is there default action taken? Is somebody 51%? And so that they can kind of overrule. And you need to just discuss that together and talk about, what does the decision-making process look like? Because if you are 50-50 partners, which I think is common, and a lot of people are, Julie and I are 50-50 partners actually, but there's been times when it's like, well, we get to a stalemate and it's like, we can't take an action because neither one of us see the same way. So honestly, the way we handle it is we just continue talking about it and we rest it and we talk and we rest and we talk and we rest. If we can't come to a resolution, then there's no action taken. So for instance, if I want to move everything in a different direction with the insurance agency and she doesn't, then we just continue talking about it, weighing the pros and the cons. And then if we can't come to an agreement, then it just stays. So, but you do need to think about it. When you start working with your spouse as a business partner, think about the decision-making process. Think about, how do you overcome any type of stalemate? If there's going to be a stalemate, is there an ultimate decision maker? Is it a nothing happens? Is there maybe a third party that gets to weigh in something like that? I know that we have some trusted people in our business. For instance, my brother, I rely on him a lot. He has a strong finance background, and I rely on him a lot to help make financial decisions. So that's something that we can consider as well, that if we are at a stalemate on a financial decision, we could call in a third party to really take a look at it and maybe break a stalemate. So there's an option there as well. But that'd be, honestly, my biggest advice is just, when you're going in, make sure you have a way to break some sort of a disagreement, or how are you going to handle a disagreement? Because there's going to be plenty. When you have a spouse in the business, there's plenty of disagreements. So some final thoughts on working with your spouse as a business. It is the most amazing thing out there, and I would strongly encourage you to take the plunge, even though I'm sure you can find a lot of content out there that says the otherwise, but my personal experience is it's really been great. Make sure that you have carved out time for business and that you have carved out time to work on your marriage, because you need them both to be strong for a long-term success. And really plan for, how do you handle decision making? How do you handle when you guys aren't on the same page for something? Because it's going to happen. Now, again, we want to get Julie on a video in the very near future, so we would love it if you could just comment, "Let's see Julie," in the comments below, and maybe we can get her on for a couples video at some time in the near future.